So, good morning. So, this morning I want to begin to read a book by Traktung Rinpoche, who is an American man who's been recognized to be a reincarnation of a Tibetan Lama. I think in the Nyingma tradition, but I'm not totally familiar. But I met him about 10 years ago in the United States in an ashram in Arizona of someone who's been a beautiful presence in my life called Lee Lazowick. Anyway, Lee and Traktun were great friends. They really appreciated each other. Um, anyway, at the time, um, Lee was very sick, and Traktun gave one discourse for Lee's students, and I was present there. I know that I was very impressed by the talk. So that's all I know really about him. I haven't followed him really. I may have looked him up once or twice in the years since. But I came across this writing of his recently called Original Innocence, and I liked it. And I thought I'm going to read it. So here we go. Original Innocence is by Traktung Yeshe Dorje. Bright Virtue, Contemplations of the Path of Original Innocence. And then contents, and then there's a preface, and it says digestivo. It's a noun, a plural, digestive. It's a drink, especially an alcoholic one, drunk before or after a meal in order to aid the digestion. And a scholar comes to a sage, knocks on his door, enters and begins conversation. He speaks and speaks of what he has learned, information he has gathered, opinions, ideas, descriptions. The sage makes some food and feeds the scholar. He feeds him more and more, and the scholar, out of politeness, eats. Finally, the scholar blurts out, "If I eat another bite, I will vomit. How am I supposed to digest this absurd meal?" The sage laughs gently and replies, "Yes, exactly. That is exactly what I was thinking about your accumulated knowledge. Come, and I will show you the secret of digestion." Part 1. Well then, a sage is a mystery that is untouched by being or non-being. A sage is neither human, nor god, nor demon. They are the fragrance of a flower. Buddha was asked, "Are you human?" He replied, "No." He was also not a god, a demon, or other thing. Buddha was not claiming status born of separation between this and that. Buddha was not that fretful kind who garnered surety from falsehood. His truth was beyond both surety and falsehood. He was not speaking of only, or he was not speaking of only or alone, only me, I alone. Buddha spoke of what is, always, already, though perhaps unseen, unnoticed. And in that unnoticing, much is arising, worlds, realms, persons, hopes, fears, and the anxiety of being. Perceiving a cross expanse, no one perceiving, no thing perceived, and yet mystery beyond word or concept, perceiving across expanse, that is all. Light arising without cause, from no place to nowhere. This I, this you, this we, made from stuff more gossamer than dreams. Buddha the Nazarene, Buddha the Nazarene, Padmasambhava, Radha, Lee, there's Lee, EQ, Hildegard, Arnaud, Meister Eckhart, Yeshi Chokel, Basho, this very body, unnoticed things, unmade being, welcomed mystery. Wisdom's sunlight suffuses, pervades, identity falls away like mist embraced by the rays of dawn's bright warmth. Identity falls away like mist embraced by the rays of dawn's bright warmth. Perceiving plants 1,000 times, 1,000 flower seeds in the expanse of possibility. Some seeds sprout, grow, and blossom, and in the blossoming of unknowing, unmaking, unnoticing, the fragrance is shared. It is a welcoming, it is an invitation. And then a few quotes. This one is from and somehow the certain letters are hard to read. I'm reading this online, but I think it says the Suyagarbha Tantra. So a short quote. How astonishing! This phenomena is superb. It is the secret of all the fully enlightened Buddhas. Everything is born from the unborn, and at the moment of birth, nothing is born. And this is from the Tripura Rahasya. The current notion that one cannot escape one's destiny is applicable only to the weak-minded and senseless wastrels. Okay. New heading. Appearance is of the kingdom of virtue. Appearance is the kingdom of virtue. Sorry, these letters are hard to read. Appearance is exactly where non-duality is found. Appearance arisen from the union of emptiness and clarity. This is the freedom place. If you look for the ground of all phenomena, you will not find anything at all. Precisely this looking and not finding is the ground of all phenomena. Train the mind to be like space, and then forget space. Mind's activity is a phenomena. Mind's deep, it's a groundlessness. Phenomena and mind's activity share in common the baseless groundlessness. Again and again, rest mind's hurried activity in the expanse of its ownmost non-doing. Mind's deep, a groundlessness, is original innocence. Phenomena, also groundless, are bright virtue. If you understand these two, you will swiftly master the Buddha's twofold path of shamatha and vipassana. Original innocence, the deep. Original innocence is the very essence of your mind. Feel it for a moment. Not suffering, not frustration, hope or fear, but original innocence. Not original sin, but original innocence. When mystics and sages come to discover the deepest essence of reality, this is what they discover. Their words may vary, the flowering of this realization may find different expression, but the essence remains the same, because it is the truth. The mind's day-to-day conceptual functioning is merely the tip of an iceberg. The sum total of your day-to-day identity, even the whole appearing called the human realm, is the very tip of an iceberg. Beneath this tiny tip is a vast and deep expanse of spiritual mystery. The tip, the day-to-day conundrum, is like the foam on the edge of a rising wave. But your essence is like the ocean's depth. This truth, and the methods to realize it, to make it real in the continuum of your body, feeling, mind, qualities, and actions, is the intent of every Buddha's, every mystic's communication. It's the sole import of the sage's speech and activity. Mind's essence, timelessly, right now, always, is an expanse of unchanging original innocence. Somewhere deep within, all beings intuit this, and this intuition is precisely what draws the body, mind, and heart towards spiritual seeking. The wave is never separate from the ocean. If the wave forgot its union with the ocean and only felt itself to be a separate movement of water, what anxiety it would suffer! It would feel itself to be so temporary, so momentary, and at the whim of rise and fall, birth and death. It would desperately search for meaning within. It would desperately search for meaning within the minute span of its existence, not knowing that its meaning is an expression of the deep and not found, and of the deep and not found in and of its shortness. Original innocence is a meaning-saturated field, opening into the ceaseless possibility of expression through the energies of appearing. But if the deep connection to original innocence is lost, an anxious search begins. The search in its immaturity is for partial, temporary meanings within the momentary dimension of appearing. As maturity grows, it becomes a search for direct knowing of the meaning-saturated ownmostness of mind itself. The search is to discover what has always already been the case. Although the sky appears grey when covered over with clouds, it is still blue above the clouds. The clouds are simply adventitious stains, temporary. If you fly up in a plane, you can see that there is always already blueness, a stainless sky ultimately unharmed by temporary clouds. The moon waxes and wanes from the point of view of Earth, but when seen from the perspective of space, it is always full. It is only point of view that creates partiality. In the same way, the reality of our deepest nature is always divine. It is not divine in seed form, like a tree waiting to grow from a seed, but fully developed right now. My father had a friend who became mentally deranged during World War II. He thought he was Napoleon. Little by little, he was brought back to health. But the truth, the actual truth of who he was, remained exactly the same throughout the continuum from sickness to health. The truth of who he was adhered as the ground of his psychological recovery. The path was to remove the obstacles to seeing the truth. The result was to inhabit the truth. This is exactly the way of the tantric path. The ground of the path is your original innocence. The work of the path is to remove the obstacles to seeing what is always already true. The result of the path is to inhabit this truth. The ground and the result are one and the same. For this reason, the tantric path is referred to as the resultant path. If the path were to give you something you had not had before, then it could be lost again. If it were to take you back to some garden you had been expelled from, you could again be thrown out. At the same time, without the path, one remains in ignorance of reality, for the path is nothing other than reality's communication to us in the endarkened realm of confusion's homeland. And here follow a few quotes. First one is from Meister Eckhart. You should wholly sink away from your you-ness and dissolve into his hisness, and your yours and his should become so completely one mind that with him you understand his unbecome isness and his nameless nothingness. Meister Eckhart. Then from Longchenpa, he's one of the greats of Tibetan Buddhism. Thus it is. Just as the intrinsic nature of fire is to be hot, so the intrinsic nature of phenomena is primordially blessed as the mandala of the awakened ones. And this is a quote from a pseudo Dionysius, Dionysius. Since the unknowing of what is beyond being is something above and beyond speech, mind, or being itself, one should ascribe to it an understanding beyond being. I think so. So this is from the sutra known as the inconceivable amassing of the rare and supreme. And the quote is from the time I achieved fully enlightened Buddhahood until passing into nirvana, I never taught the Dharma. Nevertheless, this is the inconceivable blessing secret of the Buddha's speech that even untaught, it is heard in accord with the need of each being. And here follows what I think is a poem from Traktu. My chest broke open, and the lovebird flew to the moon. Your cloak became the sky, midnight blue, flecks of gold, the bright stars. Everywhere I look, spiral of little shells, the turning of the heart in love. The moon came to live in my chest. The mantle of its light formed a cradle for my mind, and silence, like a crown, ornamented the vertigo of this love. My chest broke open, and the lovebird flew to the moon. Okay. Bright virtue, the expanse. Original innocence is untouched and untouchable. It is perfect mystery. You cannot even know it, for it cannot be an object of knowledge grasped by a subjective knower. Long before it is realized fully, both knower and known dissolve in perfect unutterable mystery. This is why in our Nyingma lineage there is right from the start the distinction between wisdom and experience. Original innocence is unspeakable mystery. It is untouched by any concept. It is beyond the reach of even those most fundamental axioms of concept: is and is not. It is beyond being and non-being. It is beyond the I am. It is always unknowable, but it is realizable and perfectly devoid of, free from, concepts. It is without attribute, color, substance, being, non-being, both being and non-being, neither being or non-being, characteristics or quality. What can be seen and the seer are not it. What can be known and the knower are not it. And yet it is beingness's deepest truth. This unutterable mystery is, for no reason at all, uncaused yet spontaneously pervaded by luminous clarity, replete with potential qualities, like clear light that contains the rainbow spectrum within it. The perfect mystery that is original innocence is also uncharacterized by any dimensionality. So how can its expanse be pervaded by luminosity when its expanse is dimensionless? The essence is unspeakable mystery, and the nature of that mystery is radiant luminosity. The very radiance of its nature creates the expanse in and, in and in as of its radiance. I read it again. The essence is unspeakable mystery, and the nature of that mystery is radiant luminosity. The very radiance of its nature creates the expanse in as of its radiance. The essence is perfect purity and innocence, and the nature is a clear light radiance. Why is it like this? For absolutely no reason. This is simply how it is. When yogis look directly into the essence and nature, into the essence and nature of reality, this is what is discovered. What must be understood is that the heart of wisdom is original innocence and bright virtue. This authentic reality of Buddha nature has also, from the start, been the very basis of mind's natural state. And that basis is no basis at all, but pure, divine, substanceless, ineffable perfection of wisdom mystery. This basis of mind's deepest reality is a mystery beyond all notions and all concepts, such as birth, death, being, non being, color, attribute, shape, and size. It is an expanse of sublime spiritual mystery. When we come to recognize our own mind's deepest reality, we will have come to know the original innocence and bright virtue of the divine. Even more profound and amazing is that when this deep reality of mind is known, the truth of all appearances is also known. The manner in which all appearances are held in as of this very expanse, in as of this very expanse. Everywhere and every when, every appearance, always only forever, is nothing other than the ornament of primordial purity and luminous spontaneity. The luminous expanse we call bright virtue. It is uncaused, it is luminous and radiant, and it is replete with potential qualities that are known and made actual in the mind and life of the meditator. The mystery in Tantra is called the essence of awareness, and bright virtue is often called the nature of awareness. The union of these two gives birth, as unions often do, to a child, which is the unceasing magical dimension of appearing that is often called the energy of awareness. This triune synergy is, of course, undivided wholeness. The yogi, when meditating on the essence, rests in perfect non conceptual, non elaboration. Then they realize the emptiness and nothingness, no thingness, aspects of reality. When they abide in meditation upon the luminous aspect, they see, perfectly and always, the divinity of appearing and appearances. Then they know the godliness of everything and everything. The pinprick of appearance, that is the sage's body, abides in the paradoxical union of these two. Emptiness and godliness are like a swing on which the magical child of illusion plays as love. The essence, nature, and energy of awareness. Yeah, the essence, nature, and energy of awareness is also known in Tantra as the three kayas or bodies of a Buddha. They are referred to as Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, respectively. Dharmakaya is the perfect mystery of awareness that is unspeakable. Sambhogakaya's name translates as Sam, great, and Bhoga, pleasure or bliss, and Kaya, body. So Sambhogakaya is the body or dimension of visionary beauty and wonder. Nirmanakaya is quite simply love, not as a static state, but love in action, as appearance, and the action of appearing. It is how wisdom bliss becomes an array of playful forms, like waves rising and falling. Dharmakaya is the ocean. Sambhogakaya is the ocean's tremendous tidal force. And Nirmanakaya is the wave of appearance rising and falling. Okay, so maybe until here. It's been half an hour. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow I continue. Have a great day. Bye.